Man, I should have got my purple shirt, dude. If I'd have known. I was on a tennis court today. Everybody's wearing blue, top and bottom. It was really, really weird.
Huh.
Yeah, good deal. Okay, well, good morning, everybody. Those of you that are here, as you know, if you can jump on, if you're driving down the street, keep your eyes glued to the road, listen up, but you don't need to look at the screen. If you're sitting at home, I do recommend you jump on live on Zoom. Let us see you. That interaction will matter to me, and it might matter to you. It's not a requirement, but it is a request. So if you're able, that's awesome. If not, then you could stay incognito, and we're glad you're here nonetheless. Hello, Mr. Rawhauser. How are you?
I'm good, Eric. How are you, sir?
Good. When was the last time you actually played Parcheesi?
It's been a good while. My sister-in-law took these pictures, and they're in our kind of game room office, and I kind of dig them. She actually took them off a board game, so I was pretty impressed. But long time for Parcheesi. Thanksgiving for Sorry, though, so not bad.
Sorry is still one of my favorite.
Josh loves Sorry, so we play Sorry periodically, so it's fun.
And don't let, no, look what everybody look at me, ready? Don't ask 2 40-year-olds about playing Chutes and Ladders, but Bill and I love playing us some Chutes and Ladders. Just want you to know. With that said, too much information. Hello, Dakota. Hello, Mr. Baxter. It's been a week.
Yeah, we're finally back in Texas for about a month, and decided I would join in this morning.
Good. How's George?
Yay, Keith!
Yay, Keith Baxter.
We've been traveling the countryside for the last couple of years.
Yes, you have, brother.
Yeah,
Very nice. Very nice. It's
enjoying.
Nice to have those residuals, my man. Nice to have those residuals. We are going to begin.
Awesome weekend.
I want to remind everybody. Right here, share my screen, that we have a calendar. And that calendar this month shows on the 14th, a week from tomorrow, I'll be interviewing Amy Weaver, the EXP Vice President of Growth. Going to be an interesting conversation, a little bit different than most, always coming in the same time. You can bring guests, but the best person to bring would be yourself. So I highly recommend that. Want to remind everybody as well, this is at the freedomteamsupport.com site. That's what it is right there, freedomteamsupport.com. And we have a new link up here called Freedom Team kvCore Training. Any of you that want kvCore assistance or bringing agents in that need kvCore assistance, or you have people on your teams already that need kvCore assistance, we now have our own training platform, and we'll set the website up for them for a few $100, and then a monthly program to master kvCore. It'll take a few months to definitely go down that process. And then if there's heavy lifting to be done on your website on a daily basis, we'll take a lot of that off of your plate as well. So I want everybody to be aware, hit that freedomteamsupport.com and go to the Freedom Team kvCore training sector to see what we have for you. Tomorrow, same time, don't forget, we've got our More Transaction coffee chat. It's just a mind blend Tuesday, the first Tuesday of every month. So welcome everybody. Hello, Kathy. How are you?
Doing great, doing great.
Your Titans didn't do much to the Eagles. I was sort of watching that for like about a minute and a half, and then it became over. So,
yes, it did.
Yeah, but you're still leading the division.
That is that's the story of Tennessee sports, unfortunately, for all of.
Well, we're glad you're here. So,
although we are going to make the playoffs, so I'm going to.
We may end up as our Miami team may have to come up there, but we'll let you know if we do. Today's topic is make a simple decision. I want you to think about all the decisions you make in your life, and if the big ones are any more difficult than the easy ones. If the hard ones are really any more difficult than the easy ones. See, I don't think most decisions are hard. I think most decisions are pretty simple. I think we try to talk ourselves into or out of things all the time that make a simple decision difficult. I'm going to use an example. You don't have to make a hard decision on food. There's lots of choices, but we make it harder by wanting a specific thing. We no longer can just go to the refrigerator and grab a protein or a carb or a sugar or a combination of there and other things. There's always vegetables. There's always something in there that we can grab. We want something else, but do we really need something else? So what we're used to doing as humans is making decisions more difficult. Now here's ready? Because we can. If you don't have the decision that can be more difficult, it's an easier decision. So I want you to think about every decision as simple. For me, simple means easy.
Recording in progress.
And so what I'm going to recommend you do is ask you this question. Do you want to build a revenue share portion of your business? I was just on with a prospect in Buffalo, New York. It was a follow-up. And she said, is it a requirement for someone to recruit if they're selling? And I said, no, no requirement at all. That's what makes it hard for you guys to make the simple decision, because it's not required. If it was required that you have to bring in an agent this month, you'd either do it or go to another brokerage. The problem is it's a choice. And because it's a choice, it's no longer a simple decision. There's only 4 things we do. We make a list of agents, we call them and invite them to look. If they're interested, we show them. If they're interested, we follow up and answer questions. Keith, you've been gone from us from a couple of years, but it's the same thing, isn't it? Same flipping thing. Why? Because it's a simple decision. You're either not wanting to. I didn't ask if you wanted to. I asked, are you going to make a list? Now, Dakota, either your list is as big as you want it or it's not. And if it's not, Dakota, as big as you want it, you're going to make a simple decision. I'm either going to make it bigger or I'm not. Don't go to all the other conversations in your head. There's no value for it. Heidi, you're with us. When you're with us, you get motivated, you get driven, you get excited. And then you decide, for whatever the reason, I may not go to the training on Monday. Here's what's interesting. It's a simple decision. It's either in your calendar and you're coming, or it's in your calendar and you're not coming. But if it's not in your calendar, then you've made a simple decision not to come. I decided I would call agents every day. Now you might say, well, I don't know if I have time. You know what's funny? If you decide that you'll make calls every day, you will find the time. Here's why. If you have 4 minutes, you grab the phone and make a call. If you have 15 minutes before you're going to meet someone for lunch, and I could make a call. Why do you make a call when you have a 10-minute open slot? Here's why. Because you made a simple decision that throughout the day, when I have 5 or 10 minutes, I'm not going to go water the garden. I'm going to make a call. Some people go as far as saying, I'm not going to eat lunch until I've made a few calls. That decision is simple. I'm getting hungry. Oh, shoot. I can't eat until I make a call. Oh, do I really have to? No one's watching. It's only Monday. You know what? I'll make it right afterwards. I'll make it work. No, you're making the simple decision harder. What does what I'm sharing with you mean to you people? Is this making it more clear that we really do run our lives, and one of the way we run our lives is by not running our lives at all? If I said to you, it's 11 o'clock in the morning on East Coast, which makes it 10 in Central, 9 in Mountain, and 8 in Pacific. And between now and 5 o'clock today, what are the 3 things each and every one of you want to do? I'm not saying agent attraction. When it comes to business, right? Go in the chat room if you're able to chat and just put 3 things you want to accomplish between now and 5 o'clock today. That's a simple decision. I want to do this between now and 5. Write 3 things. And if you can't write, then just think about it. Man, this is more difficult than I thought. Okay, it doesn't have to be real estate attraction related. It can be anything. Call agents, call agents, call agents, set an agent luncheon, get 2 offers accepted, have 5 conversations. Boom. Okay. Find a transaction lead. Perfect. Okay, now here's what's interesting. Come back to me for a moment. If that had to be done, or you lost your license at 5 o'clock today, would it get done? Yes or no? Okay. What about if you didn't lose your license, but if you said to yourself, oh, you know what? If I don't really get it done, I'll just do it tomorrow. Do you see the gap difference between the decision and the other? I need you to understand. That's a simple decision. Now we'll talk for a moment about why your simple decision isn't met. Here's why. Because habits take over. And so let me close the loop. Your habits will bring you right back to this conversation somewhere in the future. And if you follow your simple decision, we'll never have to come back here again. Which one, if you were making a decision, which one's a smarter decision? Do it. Do the things that don't take talent, which is the simple decision. Let me pause for a minute. If you're getting this, let me know. If it's confusing, let me know. What are you thinking? Anybody?
Eric, for me, I think it's spot on. And about 2.5 years ago, I went through a weight loss journey. And I remember saying to Steve so many times, my husband, I just remember saying, it's like, it all came down to the decision to make a change. And what I remember saying so many times is, you made the decision, now it's managing the decision. And sometimes you manage that decision every 5 minutes, every hour, every day, right? So it's, yes, you got to make the decision and decide since it's agent attraction, why do you want the benefits of what agent attraction brings? But then it may mean that you got to manage that decision, like I said, sometimes every 5 minutes. Like, when you don't feel like, in the weight loss case, when I don't feel like eating the right things, and rev share, when I don't feel like making the calls. So it all starts with exactly what you're talking about, a decision, and then managing the decision.
You talked about something, Kathy. You brought up a great point. It's all about why you're going to do this. One of the problems that I have in this platform is, if I would do this the way I really would do it, I would spend 45 minutes talking about what's the benefits of having extra money in your account each month. I need everybody to hear this. This is a level 1 training, so it's as basic a statement as I could make. But if I sat here every week for 45 minutes, the first 45 minutes, talking about the dreams we all have and the things we can all achieve and the life we could all have with regard to building our rev share, you would love the feeling. 45 minutes. then you'd be well open to me teaching you something in the last 15. But the next week, here's what you would do in your head. You would go, oh, he's going to talk about dreams for 45 minutes. And I don't need that right now. What I need is, I need to know how to talk to this broker down the street. And what you don't understand is, if you had your dream big enough, if it was bad enough, it was necessary enough, it was something you really wanted, you'd figure out how to talk to the broker down the street. So I can't pull you in for a 45-minute dream session every time. And I can't even pull you in for a 15 flipping minute dream session every time. Because your pattern will tell you I can skip the first 15 minutes and come right to minute 16. But
Well, and Eric, to me, it goes beyond the money, right? It goes beyond the money because we're all agents. We can make money selling homes, but what the rev share does is buys your time back. You know, you can't make more money in real estate without putting more time. What the rev share does is it allows you to buy your time back. Unlike real estate, the more money you want to make in real estate, the more time and effort you got to put into it. So it's really, to me, it's in addition to, yeah, you got to think about the why, but it's like, why do I want not only maybe the money, but why do I want to buy my time back?
Well, that's what it is. I mean, the bottom line of it is this: there's a group of people right now in EXP that have been, everybody hear this. There's a group of people that have been in EXP as long as everybody here has been in EXP except for a couple of you. And some people in the exact same amount of time while you've been doing what you've been doing, they've set themselves up with a monthly residual income that matters. And some of us haven't. And here's where you can make the decision to go, they must have been doing things I wasn't doing. So let's go through that. What were they doing? They were making a list. They were calling agents. They were getting them in front of a presentation. And they were following up. I need you to know that's all they were doing. So the reason you're not as far ahead as you want to be is you wouldn't make those simple decisions on the days you could have made them. Look, we know there's certain periods over your career at EXP where you probably couldn't have dedicated a lot of time to revenue share. But that wasn't most of your time at EXP. Most of your time at EXP, you were making the simple decision to do the work. You were negotiating the price. Anybody else have a comment?
You know, Eric, what the thing that I love about what you're saying is you free yourself up to say, okay, I guess I fall into the trap of letting a non-decision be a decision, meaning I'll get to it. In which case I'm truly making the decision to not do it at that point. And when even just knowing in your head that that's you saying, that's me saying, I'm making the decision not to, that puts it in a whole different mindset in my book, as opposed to I'll get to it, which feels like I'm not making a decision and I am. Does that make sense? And when it frees you up, I know it makes sense to you when you put it, frees you up, that you're saying that is the decision. So it's just as easy to say that decision as I know that phone feels heavy to make the call. And in hindsight, I have not had in 5.5 years a call where I felt physically threatened. You know, it's in the grand scheme of things, every call is easy once you do it.
Well, Bill, how about this? It doesn't matter whether it's easy. Here's all that matters. If you want revenue share, the simple decision is there's 4 things you have to do. Make a list, contact, share the opportunity, answer questions. And if you suck at doing it, then you better get better. Now, that's what we're here to do, help you get better. But what we can't do, what we cannot do in these sessions is motivate you enough, because you'll actually unplug from the session. What we have to do is remind you how simple Didn't say easy, but it's not hard. When you call an agent that is wanting to talk to you, this is the easiest thing you'll ever do. So don't confuse calling an agent and finding out that they want to talk to you with calling an agent and finding out that they don't want to talk to you as part of the business. They are both parts of the business. One's supposed to feel good. One's supposed to feel bad. Grow up. It's a simple decision. You're going to have to go through both of those to get to the point where you don't have to worry about it anymore. I promise you this, someone's saying to you, I need everybody to hear this. Someone's saying to you, hey, you're like the fifth person called, or I'm not interested, or I love my broker, or I'll be there on Tuesday and they don't show up. All of those, how much worse is that than getting your appraisal failed? Not a lot worse, is it? How about getting an inspection where you just can't work out both sides and you've worked 5 weeks on it all, 6 weeks, 7 weeks. Now you got to go put it back on the market or find another house. This doesn't compare to that, does it? Let me ask you, does it? But you think it does. The only way out of that is to do this. But you keep thinking about that and the guy that's not looking for you rather than keep calling until you find the woman that is. Jeff, what did you have to share?
I mean, I hesitate to say it because I know I'm one of the leaders of Freedom Team, but I'm just going to be real and vulnerable here. I think the biggest thing, like I feel like I've got blocks in my head right now, mental blocks, because I've shown so many people. I've got a pipeline full of people, a couple hundred, getting people to pull the trigger has just been, it's just been such a process that, I've got a lady in Indianapolis, supposedly, I'm meeting with her this week. She's got at least 3, maybe 5 coming over. I've been working on her for 10 months. So I'm encouraged about that. Whatever. She should be in this week or definitely by the end of this month, which is great. I'm excited about that. But I'm just saying, like, I was talking to Gary, at our lunch last week, and it's like, dang it. Like, and I know Gary's making the calls, like Gary's working this thing, but like getting these people over the hump. In my head, there's that part of me going in my head. I'm just telling you, I'm just like, whatever. It's the holidays. I'm done till January. I'm just like it's like, that's just kind of where I'm at. I don't want to be there, but that's where I'm at. And I'm just putting that out there. Like, it's a whole nother issue. I could make the calls and I can set the appointments, but I'm like, what, to add another 30 people to the pipeline that I'm going to be dealing with for the next year? I'm just saying, like, here's where I'm at in my head. And I know that's probably wrong. And maybe that should be a conversation for the 5 leaders.
No,
I'm just being real, because this is what I'm dealing with in my head. I've got these mental blocks right now in my head, and that's the block. I'm like, I have had those ones that, 3 days after I show them, they're in. I've had those. But man, oh man, I'm like, where are they? It's been a while since I've had one of those, So I don't know, just putting that out there,
I'll go back to say this. What you're going through, first of all,
not trying to discourage anybody on this.
No, here's what everybody should have heard. You might have heard other things, but make sure you hear this. Even when you put them in the funnel, they don't always come through. And what makes it hard is not them saying no, it's them not saying no. Them staying in the funnel. That's what makes it hard. So here's what I want you to know, though. Everybody, Jeff has developed a fairly sizable group. And he finds himself a few years later with lots of people that are on the fence. You all, if you are just getting started, should love being in his position at some point in the future, because you will be. The problem is he's identified his problem twice. He said it at the very beginning and at the very end. It's like I have these blocks in my head. And here's what I need you to understand. Your simple decision is, that's exactly what they are.
Yeah.
you're thinking about the people that are not in, rather than thinking about the ones who could be. The reason we have a CRM, and the reason we have a follow-up tool, the reason we have a method is not to get the people who haven't gotten in to get in. It's to release you from thinking about the ones that are just there wasting time.
Yeah.
There's nobody, and I know in our company, that follows up better than Jeff Morrell. Nobody. He's got systems for that. He gets them this. He reminds them of their Tuesdays. He reminds them of this. He's as good as there is at following up. And he's frustrated. You know why he's frustrated? Because he wants the same thing Kathy was talking about. The residual without having to think about it. He's not there yet. He's ahead of most of us, but he's not there yet. And you're going to be in his spot if you don't get it right now. It's what you're thinking about. Jeff, suppose I said this, new rule. Whoever is not in by 5 o'clock today, the only thing you can do is let them just percolate until after the first of the year. But between now and the end of the year, you've got to load 30 more people in the funnel. That's what you have to do. If that's, would you know how to do that?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Then go do it.
Yeah.
And then let's have a conversation at the end of the month and tell me how you're feeling. Now, every time your brain gets dragged back to, remember that you made a simple decision to not think about that until that's a matter of learning how to control your thoughts.
Yeah.
And the only way to control your thought is with a different thought. The way it works is this. Every time you go negative, I want you to think of the smell of cinnamon. Every time something goes negative, that spot comes, think of cinnamon. I want you to smell what it smells like. You know what it smells like, right?
Yeah.
Believe it or not, that'll take you right out of the negative thought, and then you'll be pissed. You're like, now what do I do? I'm out of the dang thought. Now I'm thinking of cinnamon, but I want you to know something. The minute you get out of that thought, it gives you the opportunity to go back to neutral, back to a positive thought. The hardest thing you're going to have over the next week is battling that smell. I'm not kidding. If every time you go negative in any conversation, think of the smell of cinnamon and go boom. And you're sitting there saying, why are you teaching me that? Here's why. Because you can only have one thing in your brain at a time. And what you can't do is take a negative spot and turn it positive. What you can do is take yourself out of the negative. And that's better done neutrally. Has nothing to do with EXP. Has something to do with completely something different. It just engages your mind. And here's what'll happen. Now, every time you think cinnamon, next thing you do is make another phone call to a new guest. What'll happen is every time you're having any situation, you'll bounce to cinnamon and it'll go to a positive something. That's what will happen because you're changing the habit loop in your brain. And before you argue about it, just try it.
Okay.
Thanks for sharing, Mr. Morrell. Yeah. Anybody else? Good and bad. Gary, you had something, didn't you? Is that why you're up at the top, or Trish? Somebody.
Yeah, I did. I was kind of reiterated the conversation I had with Jeff. It was kind of one of those come to Jesus meetings, man, to help them. I'm going under the water kind of deal. I'm running out of air. It is frustrating having a lot of people in the pipeline. I have probably 200 in my pipeline too. It's just so frustrating. You can't just push them on out the other side. But doggone it, I recommend this. And I welcome your comments there, Eric. Have an accountability partner that you meet with on a regular basis, maybe daily for 30 minutes or an hour, who knows what your goals are, knows what your whys are, and will always remind you why you're doing this. I think it's invaluable. I've had real estate coaches before, and I still do. And it's amazing. I've been in the business for 14 years. How having an accountability partner like a coach makes you get out of your comfort zone and make those calls and write those personal notes and so forth. Do those things that you wouldn't typically do if somebody wasn't going to be talking to you about what you do this week, what you do today. So
Right.
it's frustrating, but it's a long game. I guess I have confidence that it will happen.
Yeah.
The person just stay with it.
So you asked my opinion. Here's my opinion. The only person that can hold you accountable is you. But if you believe that having someone to tell your story to each day is important, then you need an accountability partner. Some people will function without one. Some will have one and won't function properly. That's a personal choice for you. Gary, if you want to find someone else as a accountability partner, you can spend 5 minutes, an hour, 2 hours every day. That'll be up to you, but understand what you're spending time doing. Just doing the work. Because they're not going to make you feel any better. I promise you. You're supposed to not feel good when people are on the fence. What you have to do when you don't feel good is make another phone call. And when you think about, oh my gosh, there's so many people in my funnel. Yeah, but you picked up a person or two along the way to the 200. Here's the other part of it. You might not should be carrying 200 people. Jeff, you might not should be carrying 300 people. Because you're not carrying any one of them really well. Right? If they're not in your top 20, they're not coming. Or change that. You're not going to all of a sudden do something and rattle their chain. Just put them in something that continues to communicate with them. Invite them constantly to your Tuesday more transaction Tuesdays. Get them in a CRM Grow automation. Get them around us. Get them around EXP. But the truth is, you got one shot to really get them, and that's when you're getting them. After that, they're not likely to come. Would everybody agree with that? So if you'll notice, we're all getting worn out by the follow-ups. Why don't you go back to getting worn out by the open-ups? Take all that time that you're spending on the follow-up and go create another 200 follow-ups. And watch the 10, 15 people get in. Here's why, Gary. You're better than you were the last time. Jeff, you're better than you were the last time. Yet you're more worried about the ones that aren't coming today when there's 3-day people around that'll come in 3 days. Make your simple decision halfway through today. Wow, it's been long for halfway. Make a simple decision says this. If you think you need an accountability partner, and by the way, Gary, I wasn't saying you shouldn't. And I wasn't saying you're weak for wanting one or needing one. I don't care what you want. Go get it. Don't say I want something and not do what you say you want. Make a simple decision. That's today's title. If you want to make 5 phone calls today, look at me, people. Make 5 calls. If you want to do something in kvCore today, get it, ready? Do something in kvCore and don't let anything keep you from doing it. And Bill, especially you, based on what you said, don't let it be something that you know is taking you away from it and not make that conscious decision. No, I said I was going to do this. I would recommend all of us might benefit. See, I said might benefit. I'm not telling you what to do. I'd like you to consider this. Rewrite right now 3 things you really want to get done today within your real estate career in the chat box. If you know that if you're writing it, you're going to do it. Real quick, no more thought to it. What are they? 3 things you are going to do today. I'm playing too. Okay. Good, 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 Good. Keep going. Good. Perfect. Now look at me. If you did those 3 things or whatever you wrote, if you did them, would that move you further ahead in your career in some way? Yes or no? Yes. If you don't do them, at the end of today, at 5 o'clock today, will you be frustrated with yourself? I would be. So do them. I know there's supposed to be a lot of filler right now. I'm supposed to be saying things, but everything I say is going to make it more difficult. But I'm going to say it anyway. There's no reason for you not to do those things other than some incredible emergency that you weren't prepared for, and that may even still not do it. Or you decide to prioritize something ahead of them, which you're allowed to do. So Bill, if you want to prioritize something ahead of it, then prioritize it. It's a conscious decision. It's simple. Oh, you know what? I waited too long. I should have done it earlier today. Tomorrow, I'm going to do it by noon. Okay, that's better. Might be a good idea for you to do that. Let's make a list done by noon so you don't get timed out by 5 o'clock. How many of you think that's a good idea? Raise your hand. Then make a simple decision. Start doing done by noon lists. That could be, Gary, as good as your accountability. By the way, Gary, if you want accountability, everybody is aware we have a workplace chat group called Freedom Team Agent Attraction Group. If you're in it, use that as your, hey, here's the 3 things I want to do today, and when you get them done, I'm done. It can be used for anything you want to use it for. But what I'm trying to say is the decisions are simple when you make them. When you ignore them, they're no longer accomplished, and you'll find yourself right back to making them again. I don't want you to have to go through that. That's what today's growth is. Next week and the week after, really important stuff relating to December. This is the greatest month to do as much as you want to do because people are available. It's also the greatest month to do nothing because you are allowed to blow it off. It's December. You're allowed. What I've told everybody the last 4 calls I've done, 4 Zooms I've done, is if you don't start revenue share at Agent Attraction in December, you are not going to, if you're on right now and you're not doing it in December, you are not going to do it in January. It's a horrible month to start because it's the month you start everything. Get a head start. Don't worry about the diet for the next 3 weeks. Worry about Agent Attraction if you want to. Let me open it up. Anybody else? Questions, comments? Anybody? No. Okay. I want to remind everybody of something, if I may. If you're new and you're not part of our active Freedom Team group in Workplace, we have a Freedom Team group in Workplace. Okay? Put your name in the chat box or get a hold of Kim Herrera on Workplace Chat. We'll add you to that group. Make sure you're part of it. We have a calendar. We do things every day. Don't forget. Agent Attraction Level 2 is Thursday. What we ask is you're making calls, then you should come to that. If you're not making calls, then just stick to Monday. Okay? And we do have a Facebook group as well. It's a new group. It's actually a page, Keith, so you know. It's a Facebook page called the Freedom Team. Go like it. We're going to explain how you can use that recruiting agents in the near future. Right now, just like it, be aware that it's there. With that said, anybody else? Leadership, anything to add at the moment? Kim, anything you need me to talk about? Anybody needs that, again, kvCore help? Let us know. More than welcome to get you into our Freedom Team kvCore assistance program. Anybody have a comment or question? Anything new? Anything I can cover?
If you need scripts, they're at freedomteamsupport.com.
Good deal. Trish, you need to go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, Eric, this is, so, you know, I have chosen that my afternoons, I actually coach high school basketball now, which is one of the nice things that EXP has allowed me to be able to do. But we just had conversation last Friday with our basketball guys about, you know, there are basketball players that are more talented. There are guys that are better dribblers, better shooters, better whatever. But the one thing that has nothing to do with talent is being the hardest working team on the floor, being the hardest working guy in the gym that you can be. And it just seems appropriate of a fit. You know, there are guys on here that are better than me at having a conversation with an agent, but that doesn't mean I can't give 100% of my effort and then I will become better. You know, you can work regardless of talent level.
Bill, let's take that on a tangent. Not being as good in your mind as someone else gives you an excuse not to do the work. It works against you.
Mm-hmm.
You are not as good as some of us, and you are better than some of us in some ways. Bottom line is, God gave you the gifts you have. You can argue with him if you like, but I'd start figuring out your DNA.
Mm-hmm.
Gary, if you need an accountability partner, flippin' find one. If that's what you feel, someone needs a better contacting phrase, find one. If you need to feel better about yourself by doing some personal development things, do them. Also at Freedom Team Support, there's a brain bucket with lots of personal development stuff there. You have to look for it. It's right flipping there. Go listen to the top 7-8 things we have at the very beginning. It'll change the way you think about your life, which, by the way, will change your life. People come to me on a regular basis and they say, you think I could build enough revenue share to actually retire? They ask me that all the time. Here's my answer for most of them. No, you can't. But you can change, and then you can. I need you to know this. You know, Jeff, you thought what you said is going to bother him and maybe slow him down. I'm going to kick him out right now. Most of you are not able to recruit a lot of people because you either don't know what to do or don't know how to do it. Here's the good news. We're here to help you do both. Here's the part you're missing. You're better than you think you are for the person that doesn't need you to be very good. Let me say it again. You're better than you think you are for the person that doesn't need you to be very good. Who is that person? That is someone who's looking for you right now, but doesn't know they're looking for you. They may not even know they're looking for something. But by learning how to ask them if they're open-minded to look at why 80,000 agents have moved to our company in the last 4 years. If they're open-minded, then you've learned enough if you can get them to a presentation. Because once they see the presentation, they can't unsee it. And as good as you are or as bad as you are, if they see something in the presentation that they want, you're not going to keep them from getting it. Your lack of ability. See, what you don't know is the majority of people that are sponsored by us are sponsored by people that are not as good as you are. There are some really good people sponsoring people, but the majority of people who get people to get in the program just figure out how to get them in front of a presentation. And that's your job in agent attraction. The reason you call them is to set up an appointment. The reason you have the appointment is to find out if they're interested. And if they're interested, they will carry the heavy lifting from that point forward. It's not all about you. It's not about me. I've heard that my whole life. Eric, it's not always about you, but it is. Me, Jeff, having those spots and those blockages is all about me. So what I've got to do is quit looking at the blockages and start thinking about all the clear space between them. The majority of you, real quick, the majority of your agents will see the program, like it, ask their questions, and allow you to sponsor them. At least those are the ones you'll remember, if those are the ones you're choosing to remember. Trish, go ahead.
Actually, Kathy. So
Kathy.
one of the things that I'll just add, and you've kind of talked all around it. We kind of talked all around it today, but it is as important to work on our mindset every single day as it is making the calls every day. And you mentioned being on the Freedom Team and the brain dumped information out there. I mean, Jeff has worked on himself consistently for many, many years. I worked on myself consistently for many, many years. If we don't continue to work on ourselves, you will give up along the way, because it's hard when you are working on yourselves. So I would just encourage everybody, if you are not in the habit of reading materials like we have on the website, if you're not in the habit of listening to different podcasts every single day, I'm going to encourage that be a habit that you add on as well, because it's going to be what keeps you in the game to some extent, the days you don't feel like being in the game. Yeah.
These 7 items right over here will change the way you think about thinking. And then go down here and read and listen to anything you want. You've heard me say it before. I'd like to say it every time. But again, if I say it, then all of a sudden people think that's all he ever pushes. I need you to know something. There's only one reason you're not doing what you really want to be doing. It's because your habits are keeping you from doing it. The biggest way to change your habit is to make a simple decision to change something, and then make a simple follow-up and change it. It isn't about attracting agents. It's about thinking the right way. It isn't about having residual income. It's about, once you have it, how do you still think? I know this. When I have $3,000 a month coming in extra, my life's better. How about yours? When I don't have to worry about this closing, the most painful things in real estate to me are expecting a closing to happen and something busted at the last minute. Jeff, I don't know how 200 people in the tank in the funnel is worse than that. I just don't think it is. But your perspective might need to shift from, 200 people in the funnel that are not saying yes is a pain compared to what? Right? So you got 25 days to burn those 200. Here's a great way to do it. Today, send a message out to all 200. Hey, have a great happy holiday. Love to reconnect. Would you like to do that sometime in December or sometime in the first quarter of next year? Or honestly, not at all. I sure hope it's one of the first two. Just send it to them. Let them respond. That'll whittle down your group and it'll give you some clarity, but it'll get it out of your head. Got a few minutes left. Kathy, appreciate all the help today. Anybody else have something to ask or a comment?
I think I'll add to it, you guys, as I jumped on here probably 20 minutes late. I had a call and I got to Zoom here in 11 minutes, but understand everything, obviously, Jeff, where you're at, you know that, especially all of us that have been doing this for a while. I keep going back to what I keep telling myself all the time is we all do stuff for pleasure, right? And what we can gain or to avoid pain. And I find myself continuing to move forward. I continue to think about my why, but also think about the pain I've been in before when income wasn't coming in. And every time I go back to there, I'm back to why am I doing this? Even though, Bill and I've got some great money coming in, we don't want it to go backwards. We only want it to go forward. You get used to a certain, level of income coming in. You do not want to go back, much less back to where the pain was twice in my life where I had more money going out than coming in. So I just tell everybody right now, this is the season we set goals, we redo our, for 2023, what are we going to do? And then taking everybody you're talking about, Jeff, I love what you just said, Eric, there. Matter of fact, everybody wants to if you've planted a bunch of seeds at the 10:49 mark Central Time, go back and listen to what Eric said. What a great way to get that off your mind, Jeff. Wasn't that pretty darn good? Going, damn, I'll blast that out to 200. What if I just get 4 that are like, I'm glad you reached out. I'd love to connect in the next week or so. But if not, bloop, you're done with that. You keep them in a follow-up system and you just worry about continuing to open up the door with new agents. But again, just everybody go back to what's your why, put your goals together, and then just set a certain amount of time you're going to spend daily. If it's 5 calls a day, whatever it is, stay consistent. And like we always talk about, man, we're looking for those few agents. All of us have been doing this for a while, have had them, who pull the trigger, if not in the first week or two, within the first 30 days. There's plenty of them out there. I've got 4 more brand new appointments this week. And you know how it is. I'll say this last thing also. You can be a little bit down in the dumps and you have one call or one Zoom where that other agent is so excited about what you just shared, it jacks you up again and just kind of keeps you going and keeps you flowing. I know it happens to me about every 2 weeks. I'll have that call where someone is so excited about what I just shared with them and it re-energizes me to keep going. So Eric, thank you for doing this. Thank you for that comment you made. I'm going to go back and I think I'm going to do that, brother. The comment you made it about 3-4 minutes ago. What a great way to get that off of my mind, because I'm freaking like you are, Jeff. What the heck? Why can't they get off the fence? Just move that along, send that text. Let's see if anybody responds. If not, let's look for the ones looking for us, ready to make the move. So thank you guys, man. I appreciate this, Eric.
As I close up today, unless anybody else has something, anybody got a last minute? As I close up today, I want to remind everybody of something. If you found value from being here today, don't miss it. You will never, if today was beneficial for you, it will be beneficial for you every week. And if today wasn't beneficial for you, either the timing isn't right for you or I'm not your leader. And I hope I am. I can lead you a little bit to get somewhere. But the timing could not be right for the way you're thinking, and that would mean you need to change your thinking. I'm not saying that I'm the answer. I'm saying if you're not gathering something from what we're here today, I don't want you to waste the hour. Go into that brain bucket and listen to a few things and just see how your thinking's going. Now, with that said, you don't have to think my way in order to go down the highway. But understand our car, our van, our bus is moving down that highway. So sometimes learning how to adapt to this type of method. And this method, I want to remind you, there's nothing you heard brand new today. You might have heard it differently. You might have needed to rehear it. But the reason you need to rehear it is because it's not a common thing for you to be thinking about, which is why we talk about getting into personal development. Because they'll be talking constantly about making the right decisions, doing what's right in front of you, doing the things that don't take talent. Imagine for the next 5 days, just this week alone, you made a list of 5 things you wanted to do before lunch, and you did it every day this week. If at the end of this week, your life hasn't shifted, they were the wrong 5 things. And if you made a list and didn't do them, then you need to shift your thinking. Either one of those is okay. It's progress. You know what to do next. And that's what Tony Robbins says is happiness. Happiness says, according to him, is progress. When you're moving forward in one category may not be moving forward in the other. Jeff, now that you know what you can do with those 200 names, should be a happy thought. Does it mean any of them moved off the fence? No. But if you act on what you're about to do, you'll make a move if that's what you want to do. So thanks everybody for being part of this journey. And we'll see those of you that want to be here next Thursday. Don't forget, tomorrow is the Mastermind Tuesday for transactions. Kathy, I got a feeling you wanted to say something.
No, I'm good.
Good deal. Well, thanks
you
again,
did a
everybody.
Good job, buddy.
We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Eric. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you,
Girls.
Eric. Thanks, everybody.